where he doesn't condemn the sanctions, the U.S. sanctions on Cuba. Even though we have great relations with the Americans. Recently, you know that we have an understanding with them to accept West African nationals who have been pouring into our country. At the same time, we are maintaining great ties with Cuba. We're receiving a lot of Cuban medical doctors, the Cuban Medical Brigade. So we are a country that ought to be studied. How we are able to navigate
since you brought the, I take that.
And really
since you brought the U.S.
great relations.
Prisoner issue, I listened to the president when he met us on the 10th, a week ago today, and he did admit that our relationship with the U.S., even though it was okay, was not necessarily at the best of places because of Mr. Trump's policies, his tariffs. So it's a bit baffling for us to, in a sense, do the U.S. this favor of receiving 14 deportees who are not even Ghanaians into our country. I mean, Mr. Trump hosted 5 African presidents in the second term. Mr. Mahama wasn't one of them. So I'm not sure Ghana and U.S. are as cozy as they probably were when Mr. Obama was president and Mahama was here. So why did we agree to this?
So let's be clear. We didn't agree to this because we agree with President Trump's immigration policies. We are not doing the U.S. a favor. We are doing our fellow Africans a favor. We are offering them refuge. We are offering them succor. We are offering them hope. We want them to come back home and be comfortable. We solidarize with them when we see those images, the arrests, the violation of their rights, being detained against their will, and it's as though nobody wants to take them. So it was purely on humanitarian basis, and we have made clear that we did not accept any financial benefit whatsoever. We are doing this because we want to continue to position Ghana as that country which has always been the Mecca for Africans, for freedom fighters. We will avail ourselves to help fellow Africans in distress.
So pardon my ignorance.
So it is not about
Fair enough, pardon my ignorance. If you have 14 Africans, 1 Nigerian, 13 Nigerians, 1 Gambian, why wouldn't their governments take them? Why do we have to take them?
Yes, so you do know that the Americans have been approaching governments they consider friendly. That's what, at least when they engaged me, and I've been to the State Department on numerous occasions for these talks, and they have indicated that they are approaching countries they consider friendly countries.
Despite the
allies.
The tariffs.
You know, the tariffs.
The 10%.
The tariffs were general, really.
Okay.
He slapped it on all countries, so they have said that don't use that to judge our relations. Everybody, you know, received.
The MCC too.
Received.
We are not getting.
Trump's. Yes, and really for the MCC, it was our own doing.
AGOA is also off.
The PDS and all of that. Yes.
But AGOA, we are still a friendly country.
We are clearly a friendly country because they approached us. And I think that if you look at the region, in terms of what we are doing with the Americans, the strategic cooperation we have, even with intelligence sharing, with security, we have a lot going on in health. Even despite the withdrawal of the U.S. AID support, there's still a lot of cooperation in the health sector. You take the energy sector, communication sector. So there's a wide spectrum of cooperation that the two countries enjoy. And it is within that spirit. Remember that we are the 5th African country after Rwanda, Uganda, Eswatini, and another country. We are the 5th country and the only country, and the only country in West Africa. The only country so far approached in West Africa by the Americans. And we thought that, look, West Africans already under the ECOWAS protocol can visit any country visa-free, stay for 90 days. So on principle, on humanitarian grounds, Pan-African solidarity, let us accept our fellow West Africans. And let's make the point that Ghana is your home. We are not going to allow you to
accept them to keep them here or accept them to send them back to their countries.
So the choice is theirs, really. For 90 days, if they want to stay here, they can stay. But so far, all of them have indicated that they want to go back after some time, and we've been facilitating that. I can reveal to you that we are expecting another 40.
Another 40?
Another 40 in the next few days.
Of which nationalities?
West Africans. The understanding we have is that it will be West Africans. And don't forget that...
Do you vet them before they come?
Yes, we vet them.
What caveats do you give the Americans?
So we have said that...
Who is not acceptable?
Hardened criminals, convicted criminals. When the background check reveals that you've associated with terrorism, with violent extremism, you are a very violent person. You are on a certain Interpol wanted list for violent crimes, because we have the data. You will not be allowed in our country. So it's really people who probably
why didn't you ratify the MOU with Parliament?
Yes, so it's an MOU at this stage, just an understanding, and MOUs are not ratified. But
really?
as the discussions continue,
if it is
elevated to an agreement.
The Guantanamo 3, some people took the matter to court, and I think the Supreme Court held that whatever name you give it, when two countries come up with an arrangement, that places obligations on both of them. Whether you call it a treaty, a contract, it requires ratification. It was a majority decision. Only one person dissented. So I'm a bit surprised you're saying because an MOU, it means that it oughtn't have gone to Parliament. The judgment was very clear on the Guantanamo 3, that Article 75 was violated, which says international agreements must go through Parliament. And you are a 4th MP, so at least you could have gone to Parliament. And you have a massive majority. So what's the problem?
No, I agree with you. And that is why I said at the press conference I held a couple of days ago that when this is elevated beyond an MOU and it's a full agreement, we will go to Parliament under Article 75 and have it ratified. At this point, it is just a loose understanding.
The agreement is enforced. But how can you enforce? How can you enforce something you call a loose agreement? That is already enforced. You've brought 14. You're bringing 40.
Look, I've inherited so many MOUs that didn't go to Parliament for ratification, and
But because of the precedent of the Gitmo 3, I felt like this was, and you know this. So is it an oversight? Are you going to apologize for it, or you don't think you made a mistake?
No, it's not an oversight, because we sought the Attorney General's advice. It was discussed in Cabinet, and the Attorney General's advice, and his counterpart, the Attorney General on the U.S. side, also said that, look, this is an MOU, and MOUs do not require ratification. That is why...
The Attorney General is wrong, because the judgment is clear. I can read it.
Oh, you know better law than the Attorney General?
At least the law is there for all of us to read. Unless the English reading of what the Supreme Court said is different.
You see MOUs in that judgment?
The language of Article 75 is perfectly clear. The article forms part of the set of provisions governing the role of the executive arm of government in Ghana's international relations. I'm reading the judgment. Yeah. The scope of the article deals with treaties in general. The side notes and the body of the text makes reference to treaties, agreements, and conventions. It is also clear that the instruments referred to relate to Ghana's international relations with other countries or groups of countries, and the article requires that such instruments must be ratified by Parliament. The Constitution makes no mention of any formal distinctions that are dependent on the formality with which such an instrument is formatted or brought into being. Then it goes on to even list MOUs, etc. This is the judgment. This is a Sophia Kufu. I'm not the one saying it. So I don't know whether you're saying because the AG says, in fact, if the argument of the defendant in the state, the government, were to be taken seriously, that the transaction being by way of note verbal, executive agreement, memorandum of understanding, diplomatic note, or what have you, is merely an administrative one, then the question arises as to the exact status of the said persons now that they are in Ghana. Are they migrants? It's a long argument. It basically says, once two countries agree on something of that nature, Parliament must ratify. It's very clear.
We are working with the Attorney General's advice, and the Attorney General's advice is that when this is elevated to an agreement, it can be ratified. At this point, there's no need for ratification. So
the 40 are also coming?
Yes.
Okay.
And
on humanitarian grounds?
Yes, and don't forget that we also are receiving Ghanaians. So it's not only other West Africans, but there are 166 Ghanaians we are expecting this year. Before
166 Ghanaians.
Yes, before,
after that, we have no problem.
Before December.
There are people, so they should come.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't the Nigerians accept their own people?
They haven't rejected them, all those who... We've called them that, look, your people are here. We're taking
because I'm
good
sure you're
care of
aware
them.
that the U.S. court has also judged that even though what Trump did is wrong, they can't stop it. You get it? So
Yeah.
it's almost like we are helping the administration commit an illegality. At least per the judge in the U.S. who was adjudicating on the matter that was sent by 2 of those who were deported.
Look, we have always been a Pan-African country. We will always stand up for fellow Africans. We will give them a safe haven. We will give them refuge.
Okay.
We will not sit idle by and allow their rights to be so violated as though they have no home and nowhere to go to. And I must commend our neighbors so far. None of them have protested. The Nigerians have been accepting those who are transiting through Ghana. The Gambians have accepted their fellow Gambian. And indications are that the 40 coming, when we've contacted our counterparts on the other side, they are happy to receive them. So if the Nigerians are not complaining, I don't know why we should complain. The Gambians are not